Hey, this is Dave from the Old Dirty Basement podcast. I just wanted to give a big shout out to my boy K-Dog for doing the voices on the Jack the Ripper letters. During those segments, he did a bang up job. So we hope you enjoy it and enjoy the episode.
8 little whores with no hope of heaven. Gladstone may save one, then there'll be 7. 7 little whores begging for a shilling. One stays in Heneage Court, then there's a killing. 6 little whores glad to be alive. One sidles up to Jack, then there are 5. 4 in all rhyme all right, so do 3 and me. I'll set the town alight. Ere there are 2 little whores shivering with fright, seek a cosy doorway in the middle of the night. Jack's knife flashes, then there's but 1, and the last one's the ripest for Jack's idea of fun.
This is the Old Dirty Basement, home to debauchery, madness, murder, and mayhem. A terror-filled train ride deep into the depths of the devil's den.
With a little bit of humor,
history, and copious consciousness.
I'm your announcer, Shallow Throat. Your hosts are Dave, Matt, and Zap. I love you, Matthew McConaughey. All right, all right, all right.
hey, this is Dave,
Matt, and Zap. And welcome to the Old Dirty Basement,
where every week we cover a true crime,
murder,
or compelling story.
So sit back,
relax,
and comprehend.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to lovely Britain, Victorian London.
I don't know if it's as good as the one we just heard, but that's pretty good.
No, I try.
Yeah,
Hello, everybody.
I'm not even going to bother trying.
Did they call them basements in Great Britain?
I think they were called cellars.
The old dirty cellar?
Mm-hmm. Or underground.
Underground, okay.
Yes, underground.
It's where the sound's laid down.
That's right.
That's right.
Oh, wait, what's that from?
Humpty Dance.
Oh, the
There's your
Humpty
chance.
Dance. Yeah, that's right. So what are we covering today, fellas?
Today, we are covering Jack the Ripper and the Whitechapel murders. Because not all Whitechapel murders were Jack the Ripper murders. However, all Jack the Ripper murders were Whitechapel murders.
Wrap your head around that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, wrap your head. Everybody's wrapping heads.
Wrapping heads.
Get us take us through Whitechapel, Victoria area, London here.
Okay.
Let's get her started.
Sure will do. Take a step back in time, 135 years, to Victorian era London. The population was swelling, and Great Britain was the strongest power in the world. But within London's thriving prosperity lied a seedy underbelly, the Whitechapel district. Considered at the time to be the most notorious slum in all of London, Whitechapel was riddled with bums, drunkards, criminals, and prostitutes. Robbery, violence, and random murders were commonplace, but no one was prepared for the string of vicious slayings that were soon to plague the populace.
Yeah, Whitechapel's pretty cool. Like I like that. Beastie Boys sing about that place a lot.
Whitechapel.
Yeah, the Whitechapel
How's that long
fries.
ago?
Whitechapel fries only come in one size.
That's right.
But no,
I think that might be a different place,
So
but
when was the last time any of you were up to White Castle?
I've never been to a White Castle.
To a standalone brick and mortar White Castle?
No, I've only ever had it as frozen food. They come in the frozen section.
God damn it, man.
I thought they were horrible.
You got to get out.
in the
I
white
didn't like
box.
them at all, but it might have been because they were the frozen.
Frozen.
You've been to one. You both?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
And it's
no,
good?
listen, not for nothing. The frozen Johns are not bad.
They aren't.
I mean, so
You got to nuke them.
if you didn't like the frozen ones, unless you completely mess those up somehow, the pilgrimage to the closest Whitechapel is not White Castle.
Whitechapel.
It is not worth your while.
It's from here on out known as Whitechapel.
Yeah, if you want to get to the closest Whitechapel, it's like a flight.
I think I made the mistake of taking the bun apart and looking at the meat, and then it was
With the holes in it?
It's
Yeah,
close.
and I was just like, nah. Makes me think of this thing I saw on YouTube the other day. This girl takes these burgers come in cans, and they're wrapped in like some kind of wax paper. But the bun, the burger, tomatoes, lettuce, all that are in it. And you put the the can in boiling water and heat it up, and then you pop the can, and out comes a full burger, and it looks much like the White Castle burger.
It's worth a try though.
Yeah.
I'd try anything.
That's
But-
miraculous.
But back to some gross stuff, I guess.
Oh yeah.
Besides
So
that
anyway,
burger.
so much for setting the mood. So we're talking back 135 years ago. You're talking Victorian age. That is to say, Queen Victoria. You're talking.
White Castle burger would last that long, I think.
I don't think they had White Castle burgers back then.
Maybe not.
In fact, they didn't even have automobiles back then.
Automobile?
They
Automobile,
had horse and buggies.
horse and buggies.
Okay.
Hell, they were lucky to have. Nope, they didn't. They did not have electricity.
The British don't make good cars anyhow, I don't think.
No,
Like name one that's like reliable.
Aston Martin.
Aston Martin.
Not to be
They're-
confused with Austin Powers, which is where I was going with.
Talking to mechanics, the Land Rovers, all them,
MGs.
garbage. They're nice looking. They just don't run.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's weird. It's
Yeah.
very weird. No, I wonder back then if you had money, like if you were of the Victorian era, if they wanted to like do some stuff that's cool to their, buggy.
Like geared up.
Yeah. Could you get like some cool shit in it? Like, I don't like that leather. I want this leather, like puffier
Or like dualies on the wheel.
Yeah.
dual
yeah.
wheels
Or
instead
like
of just
spinners. Like,
One. Yeah.
We often talked about that in like one of the other, I think it was the Blue-Eyed Six, like what you did with your money back in the day, because there wasn't stuff to waste it on. You know what I mean? It didn't
Right.
seem like as much, but back in this time, it seemed like things were pretty rough. You're just trying to get a meal.
Back in this time, and we'll certainly come across this and cover when we get there. But I mean, people were living day to day, and there was you ended the day with no money in your pocket, and you started the day with no money in your pocket, and then you would go out and work, and then by the end of the day, you would blow whatever you had earned just on food, clothing if you're lucky.
I thought you were going to say cologne.
I was gonna say-
You stink.
Food, lodging, and that's if you're lucky.
Yeah. Or you would blow to earn. Seems like.
Oh, maybe. I wonder.
I just really wouldn't want the stench that had to been around that.
Oh, could you imagine the smell? Like, 'cause everything's so unsanitary.
Again, so we're in this Whitechapel district, and it is a slummy, dirty, overpopulated place. Like there's just a lot of broke ass people around here. So, fun fact: the Whitechapel district encompassed 357 acres, 357 acres, which is just a little more than 1/2 of 1 square mile. So, with 1/2 of 1 square mile in your mind, where the peak population was over 74,000 people, at this time. So this translates to 208 people per acre.
it's like Disney World on like a busy day.
It's
you can't
a
move.
real busy day.
Yeah.
Really busy day.
Yep.
So lodging houses cost 4 pence per night. Now, this bought 1 night's sleep on a bed in a room full of beds. And this is, again, for the brokest of broke asses. So for those not familiar, a pence is the equivalent of a British penny, which means that 100 pence equals 1 pound. Now, there's 4 pence. Fun fact, math man, 4 pence cost a lodging. I'm sorry.
Would you say math man?
Math man.
Mathematics.
Math man. The 4 pence cost of a lodging house back in the 1880s, math man, equates to approximately $3.25 American dollars today.
Who's Math Man? Is that Matt or me?
It's all of us.
Oh, okay.
It's the
Math man.
No, it's not me.
mind.
It's
Math is math.
my alter ego.
Yeah.
It's good at math.
So yeah, dude. So think of just I tell you all of that to get to for $3.25 per night in today's money. That's what you're getting. You're in a room full of just beds.
So you could either smoke a couple of cigarettes,
If you're lucky.
or sleep. I heard they would rent out like corners of rooms. They would actually chalk it off, and like you can get that corner over there of the room.
That's
like
cool.
like people who are that like packed in like sardines. It's crazy to think that. But
Not like too long. I mean, they still might have them in like the bigger cities, like how you're saying those rooms that people stay in these like little crap shit places that don't have money and stuff like that. They stay in those
Just
like
like a
boarding
hostel?
houses. No, like places for like poor people to stay. Like they don't have much. They have like a monthly income, and they're like these houses, but they have like they share bathrooms and like they just pull curtains over. Like it's kind of like what this reminds me of.
Interesting.
let me get a visual. Maybe you guys like. Would you compare like this? I'm trying to visualize how big Whitechapel is. Is it like Steelton, like downtown Steelton, or like is a town around here that maybe some of our listeners will know? I know we got a lot of local listeners, but I'm trying to get a visual.
I'm going to keep referring to like Diagon Alley in Harry Potter. But
Like
we've never seen Harry Potter, so you wouldn't
No,
know.
but I was at the park.
So that you were at Universal and you
Yeah.
saw that.
So that little
think
area?
of that. Yeah.
That all them people in that little area.
Yes,
there?
correct.
Oh man. Well, that's kind of like how it was when I was there. It was busy, and yeah, that's crazy.
Disney.
Yeah, it was. No, that was
I
Universal.
was just saying it's the same thing. It's just
like,
called Universal.
It's like art imitates life, man. I was at Universal Studios and it was packed that day in the Harry Potter section. It must have been just like Victoria area London.
Yeah,
just
that's
think
it smelled like it.
Think about that. Yeah, with like drunkards and prostitutes that haven't like cleaned themselves.
I had some butterbeer.
I did too. It's
Yeah,
pretty
it
good.
was cool.
But you also had security guards and with threat of people getting kicked the hell out of the park.
Yeah,
These people, I mean, you're getting your pocket picked, you're getting slugged, beat up, you're getting slid like out of nowhere.
I felt like I was getting my pocket picked. What they charged for some of that
damn
stuff,
sure.
But yeah,
Legally.
yeah.
Well, again, we're in the seediest part of London. Violence and random murders were commonplace. Police began to take notice, however, when local women engaging in the world's oldest profession began to turn up dead, most having died in the most gruesome of fashions. The first victim, in what would later become known collectively as the Whitechapel murders, was Emma Elizabeth Smith. Though cultured and well-spoken, a product of her previous life and a wife and mother of two, she was, by now, a prostitute by trade. In the wee hours of the morning on April 3rd, 1888, Smith was savagely beaten by what she claimed was a group of 2 or 3 men. Ultimately making her way to a hospital, she slipped into a coma and died the next day. The cause of death was deemed to be peritonitis, which had developed as a result of a blunt object having been inserted into her vagina during the attack.
Peritonitis.
Yeah, not a periodontist.
I was thinking of the dental stuff. Yeah.
Peritonitis.
Periodontal.
Okay.
It's
I think I said it was a dinosaur in a previous episode, but the joke doesn't carry.
peritonitis. So like, there's some peritonin something.
Okay.
It's this thing that's like this wall. It's like this membrane or something that's
Insane.
that's inside of the vaginal.
vagine.
Once you get in there, and then I guess somebody had rammed a nightstick or something, broomstick, his stick, who knows, and all of a sudden just ripped it all open. It got infected. She died the next day. It's just bad. So as we're rolling through these murders, as this is the first one, this Emma Smith broad is not considered a victim of Jack the Ripper. Just letting you know, if anyone's questioning, just letting you all know in advance. I mean, again, this is just some woman. She had said there were 2 or 3 attackers.
Right.
Oh, and P.S. She lived. I don't remember, at least lived long enough to tell the tale. I don't recall any Jack the Ripper murder victims surviving to say, hey, man, there was this dude with a hat and a knife.
Right. Yeah. You wonder where they get those images of that guy, Jack the Ripper, like in, I guess.
I think every man was dressed that way.
Yeah, this is how everybody dressed.
I don't think nobody had like their own kind of
that-
up.
I want to bring capes back.
Capes are cool. Yeah.
Capes are real cool, man. Oh, the only ones that get capes anymore are like superheroes. But like back in the day, man, everybody wore a cape.
Mm-hmm.
At least the gentleman.
Counts.
Yeah, the counts.
Like Dracula.
Yeah.
He had a
Or
badass cape.
Dracula, Count Chocula.
Count Chocula had a cape.
Just the
Count. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Not all heroes wear capes. Is that what they say?
I don't think so.
Matt,
That's the Count.
that's the porno count.
The O face from Office Space.
Yeah. Right.
Oh.
It's interesting with this Emma broad. So she says 2 or 3, right?
Maybe she was like real trash and was seeing double.
Could have been.
You know what I mean?
Oh, that's true.
I don't know. I remember coming out of Steel and Game one time. I was attacked. I think you were there also.
I was, man.
Can you name how many attackers there was?
I know
Honestly, to this day.
Well, so there was a couple of us. There was actually 3 of us that got slid.
Yes, and my main man Julio helped us
He
out.
jumped in. He had a cape, didn't he?
I think he did.
That day he did.
He wore a cape.
That day he
But what I'm
did.
saying, like, I think if you're like in the middle of something like that, you're not sitting there like counting the attackers. There could have been 6. There could have been 8.
That's fair.
There could have been 3.
Look at Chris Tucker in Rush Hour.
Rush Hour.
He's just standing there. All right, which one of y'all kicked me?
Yeah.
All right.
Exactly.
I think too, you'd probably embellish because you're embarrassed. Like if there was 2, you'd say there's 4. You know what I mean? Just 2. I think just maybe human nature is like,
Sure.
I mean, not that she's concerned with that.
Like if you say you,
It's not like she was going to beat their ass.
So yeah, if like one of us come home and it's like we're all beat up or whatever, yeah, man, it was like 4 or 5 guys came at me.
15 guys came at me.
When in reality, it was like a kid.
Yeah, who was 7.
Right.
Yeah.
Or like if you're like at a friend's house and like you're having a couple beers, like all of a sudden your beers turn into like a fifth. And the fifth turn into like a keg.
Cases of beer.
Just goes on and on.
Right.
It's too much. There's potential reasons why. I don't know. I think that some of this just sounds hinky. But she said it's two. I'm still stuck on the idea that it was 2 or 3, and the fact that this whole thing ended up killing her. I just can't help but wonder, like, since the attackers were never identified, is she trying to save face with someone? Like, might it have been her pimps, and she didn't want to put them out? Look, and P.S. we talked about the benefits of pimps, by the way, when we did the pig farmer.
Right. Pimps.
There's significant benefits to having a pimp.
Yeah, it's a good thing.
That's protection.
Yeah,
Otherwise,
that can be a good thing. Yeah.
You're just putting the goods out there, and you don't know what you're going to be.
No safety measures.
It's like a union.
All right, let's get out of this Emma Smith because she wasn't even hurt like by the Ripper.
What? Not necessarily hurt by the Ripper, but she was. I'm going to give credit where credit's due. This is a woman who died after being attacked.
She died of the multiple sclerosis. It wasn't even anything.
It was a byproduct. It's like how somebody doesn't die of AIDS; they die of a result of AIDS. She got AIDS from the stick, and then she died of a byproduct of AIDS.
Okay, I think we're giving her too much time.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's move on. Move on.
Okay. Well, and Matt says so. Let's go. Next. Martha Tabram, the second victim in the string of Whitechapel murders. Martha was a hard drinker. Her alcoholism caused the dissolution of her marriage and her inability to hold gainful employ thereafter. She, like so many others in her day, ultimately turned to a life of prostitution. In the early morning hours of August 6th, 1888, Martha's lifeless body was discovered on a landing in a stairway in the lodging house where she had been staying. Initial passers-by believed she had simply passed out, as she was, again, a known drunkard. A doctor was called, and upon his arrival around 5:30 that morning, he discovered she'd been stabbed 39 times in the throat, lungs, heart, liver, spleen, stomach, abdomen, and genitals.
And she lived.
And she was not considered a Jack the Ripper victim.
Move along. No, didn't they have like? Is there any kind of like AA back then, or was there any help for anybody?
For alcoholics?
Everybody just drank, dude. I don't think there was such a thing. Is there? When was the first like DUI?
Well, back then,
Can you get a DUI and
Not on a horse and carriage.
horse and carriage.
Can you get a DUI on a horse? Like, what if the guy's just like bumping it into shit?
No.
Probably really couldn't hurt too many people.
They did certainly have public drunkenness. I mean, that was a charge.
Yeah.
That was
back
definitely
then
a thing.
even? Oh, for real?
For sure. Oh, absolutely. Because you're disturbing the peace. You're doing all that kind of crazy shit.
But there had been some sort of like mental health back then. Like somebody being like, "Hey, man, I think you're
Yeah.
just
You
drinking
need
a little
help.
too much."
It certainly wasn't government run. Might have been a church at best.
I could see a church or talking to a priest, confession type thing.
Maybe. Yeah. I don't know. 39 stabs, though. That seems excessive.
That's a lot. And this is not a victim of the Ripper, so it makes you wonder.
Correct.
She probably drunk. She just walked it off. She's like, "Shit, ow,
Yeah.
Ow.
I'm hurt."
Maybe it was self-inflicted.
Yeah. Anyway,
Most of the leads in this pointed to some. She just got tied up with an army guy that was maybe looking to have a good time, and maybe she wasn't putting out the
Maybe
way he wanted.
laughed at his willy, like it's small.
Yeah.
That can enrage somebody.
Yeah.
all I know is
heard.
it's not pointing to Jack the Ripper.
For certainly not. We should move on to find someone who is a Jack the Ripper
Yes,
victim.
that's what I'm interested in.
Okay.
I want to see what Jack did.
I too am interested. I'm compelled. Let's move on then to the third Whitechapel victim, Marianne Nichols. Like Martha Tabram, Marianne Nichols was a hard drinker. Her alcoholism led her to abandon her husband and 5 children and, ultimately, turn to a life of prostitution.
I'm seeing a pattern.
Yeah, there's a pattern here.
How do you know it was the alcohol though? Maybe she just liked to drink and get laid.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Maybe
I'm
not.
just saying, yeah, but like it says that was what led to her leaving like her family.
Yeah,
Maybe
for
she was
sure.
just like her family was boring.
Maybe.
Could be. So in the wee hours of the morning, August 31st, 1888, after having initially been mistaken for a discarded tarp, Mary's body was discovered on the street, not but 150 yards away from the London hospital. Police and local surgeon who'd arrived at the scene found the lifeless corpse of Mary with her body laying straight, her dress raised above her knees, and her eyes still open. Upon further investigation, it was discovered that her throat had been slashed twice from left to right, while her attacker held her face tightly. The slashes were so deep they reached her spine. After she had died from the throat slashing, her attacker remained and went on to stab her vagina twice and disfigure her abdomen in such a way that her entrails had jutted out from her midriff. Mary carried no identification. At the time of her untimely demise, her only possessions were a comb, a piece of a mirror, and a pocket handkerchief.
So this one is a Ripper murder then.
This is a Ripper murder.
And that siren would have been different in the UK. They have that weird,
woo, woo.
They have like that weird.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, when I watch TV shows,
Yeah.
and they come on, I'm always like, fuck this, because I don't like them UK shit. I don't know why. As soon as I know something's like UK based or from another country, I check out.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know why. I just don't.
See, that shit fascinates me.
You don't like the Polizzi or the Polizia?
Yeah, when I hear that weird siren, I know I'm out. I'm not watching.
They still have like the berries. That's what they like. You know, the old like 1980s cop cars.
Yeah,
That's what he called like see the berries flashing them high beams. That was the
those
top.
little things on top.
Yeah, that's
Like,
what they called them.
yeah.
The cops,
I
they would
gotcha.
call them berries.
They did.
But going back to Jack the Ripper, this was actually, this is a Jack the Ripper murder. And they were saying that Jack was right-handed when they would do the check out these murders, because that's when the hardest part was cut from, what left to right.
Yeah, and we did discuss this the first time around about.
Yeah, that's why I was
like-
bringing it up again. I don't know if anybody.
No, I know
heard
that, but I'm just saying about the amount of people that are. I wonder back then if it was like what the percentages are, like how many people are right-handed versus left-handed. Like that would help them narrow it down to who it could be. You know what I mean?
I don't know if they kept that shit on file, though.
Yeah, you just wonder about stuff like that. Like they're probably looking for any little thing.
What they say, like
figure it out.
they were like possessed and stuff. People that were left-handed, wasn't that a thing?
They
back
were,
in?
maybe. Were they of the devil?
Yeah.
Is that why we got our hands slapped if we wrote left-handed in grade school?
Yes, something like that. But no, it was looked upon as being somewhat different or evil.
I know that this guy, or not this guy, but this murder was different from the previous two. And although one could argue that the first two were different amongst themselves. I mean, the first one, the lady just got the shit kicked out of her. The second one, the person got stabbed 39 times. This one, this was a slasher. I mean, there was a methodical approach to this one. That is to say, when they found, when you keep in mind that she'd been dead for 30 minutes at the time the surgeon got there. This was 20 minutes after she'd been discovered, which she'd been murdered not but 10 minutes after she was discovered.
So that was quick.
I'm sorry, 10 minutes before she was discovered. So so this guy basically killed her, then went at her, and then
Killed her first, then did the mutilation. And yeah.
That's the methodical approach to this one. And this was bad news.
It makes sense. Like you were talking about the population, how many people are there, that nothing's going to go long as far as like being undiscovered, because you're just stepping over drunks and everything else like constantly. Like there's just people everywhere. So I can imagine there's not a lot of places to get away and like do some deeds like this.
What's worse is it's hard to narrow down the suspect when everybody that's walking around this area at this time. So Whitechapel isn't in and of itself its own area, but within that is other smaller areas. This is like the slaughterhouse district.
Yeah,
So
we're all this. Yeah,
everybody's walking in and out of work. Bloody. They're just coming in, or they're just getting off of the night shift or whatever. On the night shift.
good place to blend in.
Yeah.
You're gonna do some of that stuff.
Blendini.
So where does that at?
Is that like a?
Where's the Blandini? Is that Dairy Queen?
No, that's the Blizzard.
Oh, what's the Blandini?
Isn't he a magician or something?
Yes,
The Great Blendini.
No, that's a singer.
Oh,
The freaks come out at night.
the freaks. Oh, that's Houdini. Houdini.
That's
Yeah.
a Blendini. What is
who's
a
a
Blendini?
Blandini?
That's not a bar drink.
No, it's
Is it Rita's?
Yes, I think that is it.
Sweet Rita.
I don't get those usually. The Blandinis.
I like the custard Johns. Those are good.
Yeah, but yes, that is
Custard is
good.
banging. All right, let's move on to Annie Chapman.
You in the fattest car.
Yeah,
This is the fourth victim in the string of Whitechapel murders. Like Marianne Nichols before her and Martha Tabram before Mary, Annie Chapman was a hard drinker. At one point married and a mother of 3 children, she and her husband turned to drinking heavily after the death of their firstborn when she was only 12. They separated a few years later. Her husband died of cirrhosis not long after. By 1888, she was working odd jobs, crocheting, sewing, and exchanging sex for money. Approaching sunrise on the morning of September 8th, 1888, Annie's body was discovered. In a fashion similar to Mary Ann Nichols, Annie's throat had been cut from left to right, with a slash so deep it reached her spine. In addition to the throat slashing, she'd also been disemboweled. A portion of her stomach had been placed on her left shoulder, and a piece of the flesh from her abdomen, along with her small intestines, were placed above her right shoulder. Her bladder and part of her uterus were missing completely. On September 27th, a letter was received by the local news agency, sent by an individual claiming credit for the recent murders, signed Jack the Ripper. This letter would come to be known as the Dear Boss letter.
Let's take a listen on that.
Let's.
Ooh.
Dear boss, I keep on hearing the police have caught me, but they won't fix me just yet. I have laughed when they look so clever and talk about being on the right track. That joke about leather apron gave me real fits. I am down on whores, and I shan't quit ripping them till I get buckled. Grand work the last job was. I gave the lady no time to squeal. How can they catch me now? I love my work, and I want to start again. You will soon hear of me with my funny little games. I saved some of the proper red stuff in a ginger beer bottle over the last job to write with, but it went thick like glue, and I can't use it. Red ink is fit enough, I hope. The next job I shall clip the lady's ears off and send to the police officers just for jolly, wouldn't you? Keep this letter back till I do a bit more work, then give it out straight. My knife's so nice and sharp. I want to get to work right away if I get a chance. Good luck. Yours truly, Jack the Ripper. Don't mind me giving the trade name. P.S. Wasn't good enough to post this before I got all the red ink off my hands. Curse it! No luck yet. They say I'm a doctor now.
Huh, so that's some letter. Yeah.
Scary.
That was eerie.
I almost feel like I was there.
Almost.
Yeah.
That was good.
It should have had like a Dear Jack Daniels letter or something for all these
Yeah.
people do is drink.
I feel
mean,
at this
pretty
point
much.
I could go for a Jack Daniels.
Yeah, there's no PS5s back then, nothing else to do but drink. You know what I mean? It's not like you can pop in a movie or do anything like that.
That's the thing. No telly, no nothing.
No
They
podcast.
couldn't regulate, I guess. I don't know, how did they like the proof or whatever? It's pretty much just coming out of like the worm, It's just
Yeah,
it's just pretty much grain. Is that what they're drinking?
You're saying like bathtub gin? I mean, I don't know. People are going to figure out, like even back then, like you're going to figure out quality and shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but like you said, where we're at here in London around Whitechapel.
Oh, they're drinking. They're drinking shit.
They're not
Don't get
into
me
the
wrong.
high. They're not like letting it age in a barrel for like
So you're
3 years.
You're talking about consistency. Like one batch might be a lot stronger, and one might be.
That's what I'm
weak.
saying. I think they're drinking the drink. They're getting whatever. Like one guy could be weak. She's taking 4, 5, 6 shots. The other 3 she takes are 100 proof. And
I got in trouble with that
They're-
at JW's at that party, drinking out of the tap. I'm drinking and
That's
drinking.
7-9%,
It's going down easy.
yeah.
You know what I mean? But at least with that, it's 8.5%. But you're drinking, and before you know it, you're like, oh shit,
Yeah.
get
like
my
you
throat
have-
slashed.
your entrails are all over the driveway.
Look, that's a thing that could happen.
Yeah,
Yeah, it catches up quick.
yeah.
Fun fact: an apron had been a part of an apron had been found at the scene. Rumors swiftly shifted to blaming the murders of Annie and Mary to a local Jewish bootmaker named John Pizer, whose nickname was, coincidentally, the Leather Apron. So already there's this anti-Jew sentiment.
Right.
Pizer? No, Pizer.
Oh, I was like, that's a weird Jewish name.
Yeah.
I was thrown off for a second there.
There were Jews in Germany before they killed.
Yes, there
before
was.
They were killed.
There was Jews in
Right,
Germany.
But I don't know if any of them were the Kaiser.
No.
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 Yeah, there was a lot of Jewish immigrants in that area, Whitechapel. They said
Sure.
You know,
There was work.
Was this where we were talking about the keepsakes?
No,
No. Okay. That's the next one, I think.
maybe.
All right.
September 30th marked a double homicide in the growing list of Whitechapel murders. That would be the murders of Elizabeth Stride and Catherine Eddowes. Elizabeth Stride was an immigrant from Sweden. She'd moved to London at the age of 23. A career prostitute, she married for a short while but separated and divorced not long after. The night of September 29th into the wee hours of September 30th would prove to be her last. Around 1 a.m. on the 30th, Elizabeth was found dead, her throat having been slashed, leaving a 6-inch gash. Catherine Eddowes was a whimsical woman. Her parents died when she was only 15, leaving her to spend the remainder of her formative years in a workhouse and ultimately grow up to work odd jobs here and there. After some day drinking and a short stint in lockup for public drunkenness, September 29th would be the last full day Catherine would experience. Around 1:45 a.m. on the 30th, the remains of Catherine's corpse were found. Her nose had been cut off and her face lacerated. Her intestines, still connected, had been removed and placed over her right shoulder, while a portion of her intestines had been cut off and placed between her body and left arm. Her left kidney had been removed and was not at the crime scene. All of this occurred after the murderer slit her throat, which was the actual cause of death. The next day, October 1st, a postcard was received by the local news agency, signed by Jack the Ripper, claiming responsibility for both Elizabeth's and Catherine's murders. This would come to be known as the Saucy Jackie postcard.
Do we have that?
I do. Let's listen in.
I was not coddling dear old boss when I gave you the tip. You'll hear about Saucy Jack's work tomorrow. Double event this time. Number one squealed a bit. Couldn't finish straight off. Not the time to get ears for police. Thanks for keeping last letter back till I got to work again. Love, Jack the Ripper.
Well, that was saucy.
Yeah, it was saucy.
Whew.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
For sure.
It's a burger at Arby's.
Yeah.
The Saucy Jackie.
Yeah.
Should be. Speaking
All
of
right.
burger at Arby's, have either of you tried the big game burger at Arby's?
I haven't been at
Is that
Arby's
the
in years.
double meat, bacon? Is that the one? No.
With double meat, what do you mean by double meat?
Like it's 2 beef patties.
No.
No.
It
Okay.
is 2 types of meat that make one patty. It is a mix of venison and elk.
I haven't been there.
It is an interesting burger. It's not one I particularly fancy, as both of those meats are a lean meat.
Mm-hmm.
That's not what you want in a burger. You don't want you want it to be juicy. You
So
know?
they're selling that at Arby's, like venison and all
Absolutely.
that? Oh, wow.
Is it really though?
Who
You
knows?
can say whatever the hell they
could
want to
just-
say.
Sounds like a Joe Rogan burger. Or
Yeah.
something. Oh, the hunting and all that. You know
Maybe.
what I mean? I'll stick with beef. But I haven't had Arby's in a long time. Curly fries. I used to like their curly fries. And
They're still good.
Their beef and cheddar and all
I'm
that.
on that.
I haven't had a Big Mac in a long time. That sounds good.
By far and away my favorite McDonald's item.
Not real hungry
Quarter
after,
pounder is not bad.
They're not bad, but they're different now that they switched to a fresh patty versus frozen.
Did you see like they're getting smaller now too? Like
Yeah.
the buns are like tiny for I don't know. It's
Everything is because they're saving money.
Thanks, Joe Biden.
Yeah.
I agree with you on that one.
But
Oh, so back to this murder. So there was, in fact, graffiti found near the scene, which read, and I quote, "The Jews are the men that will not be blamed for nothing," which, when you remove all the double negatives, it really means a Jew or Jews was or were responsible for these murders.
And that was like I don't know if we said like the anti-Semitism back then was big time.
We
so they
did.
were trying to say that, you know,
Oh, yeah.
they were trying to get shit started, and then then it took all the attention off whoever
Correct.
really was doing this.
Whoever did this really did not like the Jews.
yeah,
The stonemasons.
Was it?
according to the movie,
Yeah,
right?
according to the movie. That's what Johnny Depp told
I
me.
was going to say, according to the movie and according to The Simpsons.
From hell.
Oh, yeah,
Such
Simpsons.
Such a good movie.
Mm-hmm.
On October 16th, 1888, exactly 88 years before I was born, a package containing half of a human kidney and an accompanying letter was received by a gentleman named George Lusk, the chairman of the Whitechapel Vigilance Committee. This letter would come to be known as the From Hell letter.
Let's listen in on that letter.
Mr. Lusk, saw I send you half a kidney. I took from one woman and preserved it for you. The other piece I fried and ate. It was very nice. I might send you the bloody knife that took it out, if you only wait a while longer. Catch me when you can, Mr. Lusk.
The half kidney was taken to renowned surgeon and researcher, Dr. Thomas Openshaw, who'd concluded that the kidney originated from the victim's left side. His conclusions on the kidney were made public, along with the accompanying police reports. On October 29th, 1888, Dr. Openshaw received a letter signed by Jack the Ripper. This letter would go on to be known as the Openshaw letter.
It wasn't an Openshaw case, though.
Let's listen in.
Oh, boss, you was right. It was the left kidney I was going to operate again. Close to you. I spittled just as I was going to draw me knife along her blooming throat. Them cusses of coppers spoiled the game. But I guess I will be on the job soon. And we'll send you another bit of innards. Jack the Ripper. Oh, have you seen the devil with his microscope and scalpel looking at a kidney with a slide cocked up?
I wanted to go see that movie, Openshaw. He made that bomb.
Yeah.
I wanted to see that in the theater.
It's yeah. Is that out on whatever yet? Is it streaming yet?
I don't know if it's streaming
DVD.
yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to see it in IMAX, though. Yeah, I didn't know he did this shit, too. That's pretty cool.
He was a busy guy.
Yeah, he's been all over the place.
He's splitting the atom and he's splitting hairs over a left or right kidney.
Mm-hmm.
This is the stuff, too, when they were saying about these murders, how, like, a group of people were saying it could have been like a doctor or some very well-educated man. Then there was other people stating that it could have just been some crazy who didn't have much time and was just cutting things up. I would go with...
Or a butcher.
Yeah, but I would go with somebody that would know what they're doing, because they're saying in the dark to be able to, like, remove kidneys, remove livers. Like, some people don't even know what the hell... I wouldn't even know what I'm looking at.
Somebody had to have knowledge of human anatomy.
Yes.
Back then.
100%.
I mean, back then, I don't know what, education was, what level, they got to, but like, would you
Third grade.
Yeah, would you even know what, like you're saying, what would you know what a kidney would even look like?
You don't even know.
You don't even know, you know what I mean?
I don't know what a kidney looks like.
No.
But that's something that to this day they still discuss. And I think some people were like, the guy was an educated man knowing what he was doing. And other people were just like, he was just some crazy that's just in there cutting stuff and saying, oh, here's this.
Mm-hmm.
But it's one of those things.
That's fair. Like what Matt says is absolutely fair. I mean, certainly on one hand, you could have the educated dude. But if you're just some dude that's in there tinkering around,
Right.
and like, again, you slice open some chick's belly and you look in there and you just see all these little organs popping off. Mm-hmm. Sure. Oh, I want to cut this one off. See what that does.
Right.
See what this does. Yeah. I mean, that's entirely possible.
And they were saying the way that a lot of the entrails and stuff were thrown is just like somebody was just like, oh, what's this? Like, oh, this is beating. Let me take this out.
Going over your shoulder.
Yeah, because think about it. I mean, not think about it in a way that's kind of terrible.
Right.
But if you were to cut, like how quickly that could happen if you had like a sharp tool enough to just cut and cut. You've seen the way like in a surgery or in like one of the, like just, you make that thing and it just opens up.
Yeah.
Just a slit.
I don't even like taking a turkey, like, getting the shit out of the turkey when you got to bake it. I don't know if either of you guys made a turkey at home.
Oh, yeah, of
course.
And you got to get the gizzards out and all that.
Make sure you do that. Don't cook it in the oven with the shit in it.
No, I cleaned it out, but I'm just like
Do
grossed
not
out.
do that.
Yeah, don't do that.
'Cause that'll fuck you up, right?
Wait, are you saying, so most times when you buy a commercially available turkey that someone's already chopped the head off and done and taken the feathers off?
Sometimes the neck's in there and all that.
Well, sure, but it's already been dismembered along with the bag of giblets that's inside the turkey. Like that's day one stuff. You got to take that shit out.
Well, I know. I'm saying I do take it out. I'm just grossed out.
You're
by
not like
it.
a hunter. You want to be able to like kill something, skin it, gut it.
No,
I
no.
see.
No, my point is like I don't even like doing that. I couldn't imagine gutting,
Right.
which I wouldn't want to do.
Actually
anyhow, but-
doing the chopping.
right.
You put a glove on?
yeah. When I do the turkey and stuff,
Yeah.
I've done it raw, but
I usually put like some sort of glove. Just, I don't know. Just makes my hand feel
feel
protected.
better.
Are there
Yeah.
rhinestones on the glove?
I don't want to get the turkey pregnant.
Yeah, fisting it. Yeah.
Nice.
That's what they do to cows.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, they fist them. 10, 7, 8. Horses also, I believe. No, wait, they got a stud.
The horse is
Yeah,
banging.
the horse is the stud.
Yeah.
I think the cows is the handful of juicy juice.
The hand into the thing.
Might be the nastiest thing I've heard so far.
They
I
have
didn't know
long.
that.
They have long vaginas.
Mm-hmm.
Indeed. Speaking of long vaginas, Mary Jane Kelly, only 25 years old at the time, would become the 7th victim in the collective Whitechapel murders and Jack the Ripper's 5th and final victim. Unlike her predecessors, who slept from night to night in lodging houses, Mary maintained her own apartment. Despite the thriving prostitute business in which she engaged, Mary had gotten behind in paying her rent, to the tune of 6 months in arrears. On the morning of November 9th, 1888...
Funny before.
Oh, in arrears.
Yeah, that's how she
Is that
paid.
a funny word?
Yeah.
On the morning of November 9th, 1888, in an attempt to collect a long overdue rent, the landlord's collection agent got more than he'd bargained for when he paid her a visit. Yeah. What remained of Mary's corpse was found mutilated, by far and away the most gruesome of all recent murders. Her body lay on its back on the bed in her room. Her breasts had been cut off. The skin and flesh covering her abdomen and inner thighs had been completely removed. Her entire abdominal cavity had been emptied of its organs. Her face was lacerated beyond recognition. One of her dismembered breasts had been placed next to her right foot. Her liver had been placed between her feet. Her intestines had been placed next to her body on her left side, while her spleen had been placed next to the right side of her body. Her uterus, both kidneys, and her other dismembered breast were found under her head. All of this and countless stab wounds occurred after the murderer had killed her by slitting her throat so deeply and thoroughly that only her spine kept it attached to her body. Examinations of the body by local surgeons concluded that the extent of the murderer's dissection would have taken more than 2 hours to perform.
Damn.
Yeah.
Even that description was like long, so you can imagine all that shit he was doing. You needed time.
This
to
guy
do
had
all
time.
that. Yeah.
He had, so he's
His
not
first one with time. Yeah.
every other one was back alley stuff and whatever. This one, he got her in her own little hut.
Right.
Not even a boarding house or whatever, a lodging house. Like, it was her apartment. Doors closed, windows closed. Bam, he's going at it. Now, look, did any of you guys see pictures of this?
I did. Yeah. That's the one thing when you look it up online. That's, which it's kind of grainy, but you can tell it's.
You can damn sure tell.
You can see where the stuff's thrown over. But see, this makes me think of somebody uneducated. This looks like somebody just sitting there having fun.
Oh, it looked like a bomb went off in there.
That's what I'm saying. This is like where they're saying, because then it might have been more than one person.
More than a feeling.
It could have been a group of people.
Could be. I don't know. This seemed real freaky deaky. Like in that pic, like you can see her entire skeleton, like from the hips, from the inside. It's just so weird, man. I mean, by weird, it's like something I've never seen before.
Yeah, you think about a group though. I mean, it's kind of hard to find. Like, you want to find somebody to go bowling with. Like, are you into bowling? You know what I mean? Imagine trying to find somebody like you into murder and you want to go. It just seems like it'd be something hard to find somebody that's into that.
But I think that's where like the From Hell comes in, like the movie where they say it was, it could have been like the Masons or somebody in a group trying to cover something up. So you were
I see what you're saying.
You were kind of given a task, and then they're saying, well, this, hey, Tony over there's kind of crazy. Let him do this one.
Right.
He's sitting there like, oh, look at this.
So you get like, yeah, I see what you're saying. So each one's a little different.
I mean, this is before the internet. It's tough to, like you said, Dave, it's tough to find somebody that's going to help you with this. You got to be, if it was more than one person, like you would definitely need a, group, absolutely restricted to silence, all of that shit.
Yeah, I just don't know how you would find somebody, just luck into it, I guess, if you were like sick
that's what I'm saying. It would have to be like a lot of those groups, especially the Mason, they're like sworn to they're like a secret society within itself. Nobody even knows what step 39 or what. I don't even know how that works. It's kind of like, yeah.
I'm a card carrying member.
Okay. Well then, or you like what? Step 847 or
846.
Okay.
847 is next week.
But that's what I mean. Like and especially I think then, I think it was a group of doctors or whatever, like the story says. So I think when you swear into these things, nobody really talks on those. And if they did talk, or if they were thinking they would talk, they lobotomized them anyway.
Yeah, take care of it.
They did in the movie, yes.
Yes, they did.
They did lobotomize the one dude.
Yeah, which we haven't spoke much about that movie, but Johnny Depp from Hell. What year was that? 2001 or 2?
I think he's from
Something like
Calabasas.
that. Yeah. Like early 2000s he came out. Johnny Depp is.
No, he said Johnny Depp from Hell, and I was like, no, I think he's from Calabasas.
Is he from Hell?
Yeah. He's from Melrose, man.
He might be.
No, it's one of those places. Yeah.
That might fall into the category of vintage by now.
It could. We could review that. I think that'd be a fun one, though, to review.
It's a tough one. I mean, that movie follows so closely with what I had just read for what we have covered.
Right.
For these 5 murders. Like it's, we could just replay this and say, Johnny Depp was here.
It's very
just do it. Yeah, because I don't know with that. Like, hey, remember those wagons back in the day? Like, there's nothing that we could get off track and like have fun with it. But like a movie, like I think about some movies like that. For us to do vintage cinema, it'd be kind of hard because like vintage cinema to me is kind of like nostalgic. I mean, From Hell's a great movie. I don't know if I get nostalgic on it. Like, oh, remember back when? It's just a good movie. I enjoyed it, but in the movie, it was a little bit different storyline though than this, right? Didn't they change like this last murder or something?
There was an additional. I guess first and foremost, there was an additional storyline that there was some sort of a prince did something bad, and everybody that knew about it, it was these 5 chicks that were at the wedding. So because this prince married this chick or knocked this
he
one
married
chick
a
up,
hooker, was a prostitute.
Anybody who had attended this wink wink wedding, okay, to protect the crown, we got to get rid of these witnesses. So
they had to go lights out.
This doctor took it upon himself. This crazy doctor who played Bilbo went out to kill these 5 broads. This 5th broad, the one that we just talked about, was Johnny Depp's girlfriend in the movie.
Amber Heard.
By girlfriend, like love interest. No, not Amber Heard.
Oh, okay.
They went to trial. It was actually in the second half of the movie.
It was
a two VHS.
Whomever that chick was.
It was Heather Graham.
Was it Heather Graham?
And
Heather Graham was in the movie From Hell.
Then, yep, that was his girlfriend. So yeah, Mary Jane
She
Kelly
was a very, very good looking streetwalker.
And we didn't talk about these girls back then probably weren't that like what you see in the movies.
They were homely as hell.
From Hell.
They were from Hell,
yes,
literally. Yeah.
From Hell.
She was a handsome woman.
She was a handsome woman.
That's what looked like her dad.
Yeah.
That was a friend of mine. I never heard that before, but he said that at work one time. He was like,
she looks like his dad.
She's like, she looks like her dad. I was like, what? I was like, oh.
That's pretty harsh.
Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, so that was the 5 Jack the Ripper murders out of 7 Whitechapel murders. There were, in fact, 3 more murders that were Whitechapel murders, but they were not
connected
Ripper murders. So I guess in the interest of time, I don't want to bore anyone by reading about them, but there were 3 more, and none of them were like linked or even associated. There was one that might have been like a copycat, but it was definitely not a Jack the Ripper thing.
No, you can you have them there, like the Alice McKenzie.
I mean, so Alice McKenzie was one. She had her throat slashed from left to right. The killer might have been never identified, but it's believed that this was, again, a copycat or a poor attempt by someone to make it look like Jack the Ripper. Let's see. And we're going now months later into years later. September 10th, 1889, some identified woman, her body was discovered. That one was just badly beaten. And there was extensive mutilation of the abdominal area, but pathologists and surgeons all agreed this was not a Jack the Ripper murder, as chance would have it. There was, in fact, a second serial killer in the area, and in their midst at the time, going by the name of the Torso Killer.
Yeah, I wonder if he was like that name. Like, is that the press giving him the name?
Yes.
Yeah, so you wonder if you're a killer, if you're like, oh man.
What's kind of
like
he's got to send him a letter.
Yeah,
that's why Jack the Ripper said Jack the Ripper sign.
Right. Send it out
so you can call me what I want to be called.
That's right. Because at first, thank you, Matt. That's absolutely true. They were calling him the apron murderer or the whatever
leather apron
or the leather apron.
He's like, that's bullshit.
Yeah, man, I'm not that dude.
Do you guys think like how these this could be related? Then they're saying like Jack the Ripper, his murders. It could also, don't you think like people back then were just like really drunk and like high on opium?
And just thought they were seeing shit.
Or just like having like a really, really shitty drunk, like
bad trip.
Yeah. Or like, the lady because these are women of the night and stuff like that, or even these women are, a lot of them are prostitutes, but they're coming at you and stuff. You're like stumbling down the street. You know, everybody's carrying a knife probably back then. It's just something.
If you're smart.
Yeah. I mean, there were no guns. I would have been carrying a gun. Oh, there were, right?
Oh, there were
guns.
For sure.
You would think maybe, but with the letters and shit, it would maybe, unless, well, there are theories that maybe those letters were just the media.
Well, yeah, because a lot of people, everybody was looking at the murder. I mean, you have 300 people standing around being like, oh shit, that sucks. But you could just start writing something like you can see.
Like you were there.
If you're a smart person, you would have been like, oh yeah, let me write this, saying that. But I think some people are just having like some really, really like three-day benders or something, or like went to the opium joint, smoked up a little bit, drank some more shit, and thought somebody was attacking them and
went nuts.
Then how'd they end up dead?
What, the people?
Yeah.
Which people?
Are you saying the chicks were on benders?
No.
And they woke up with their guts taken out?
No. Like some guy, like 3 days, he's sitting there drinking, you know, got laid off or something.
What he's saying is like, you know, people get on them drugs, like,
or smoking opium,
and they start seeing things like, oh my God, Zap's coming, you're possessed,
right?
And I got to get the demon out and like cut you open and do shit. You know what I'm saying? Like they start having this trip where they think. I mean, didn't some dude do that like out on the highway in Florida? Like he ate some guy's face
off because he was on bath salts.
But this seems a little extreme. What was going on?
Yeah,
but who knows?
But no, they were saying that these weren't not very like these crazy ass murders weren't uncommon in the Whitechapel area.
There's
True.
other shit going on.
People were dying all the time.
Yeah, every day it was kind of like, yeah. Like I said, the guy was sitting there dead. They're just walking over him like, oh, he's drunk or passed out or something.
Or he had some bad bathtub gin or some bad bath
Maybe
salts.
that's where bath salts came from.
Yeah.
Bathtub gin.
Nobody was getting a bath back then.
No.
The way it smelled.
Like, what? What's that B word?
What's a bath?
That was bad. I think that's a section of England.
Yeah.
Oh, well. So that's really about it about Jack the Ripper. That's all I got.
Jack the Ripper.
King Hercules.
Yeah, man, not a myth, a.k.a. James Todd Smith. Anybody know where that's from?
LL Cool J.
Yeah, LL Cool J.
There you go.
So here's some other in pop culture. Because Jack the Ripper, I mean, let's just face it, it's probably going to go on for years and years. It's in pop culture. You had that song from LL Cool J from 1989, Walking with a Panther album. Did you know Morrissey had a Jack the Ripper song?
Only because we recorded this before.
Yes.
Okay. Said, don't stab me, Jack the Ripper.
Yeah, that was 1993.
Very beautiful person.
That's how it went.
Yeah,
you know the words.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorites.
From Beethoven Was Deaf. And then
You mean the movie with the dog?
part 2.
Mm.
And then the last one I have here was from Motorhead, Lemmy. Jack the Ripper, 1992, from the album March or Die.
Nice.
So, yeah, Jack the Ripper, I think, just will live on and on, but nobody knows who he is for sure. There's a lot of theories. You know what I mean?
You don't even know.
You don't even know.
So, yeah, what do you guys think? Like, who do you think it was? Do you think it was one person? Do you think it was a group? Do you think it was
I think
just
I think it
perchance?
was one person.
Anything?
I think it was one person. I mean, that's what I think. The closest they've come to, like, actually solving the case was they found DNA on one of the victims, allegedly, and they tested it against somebody's, like, relatives and were able to track it down to a guy who would fit the profile at the time and was in the place and all that. And
do you have a name?
Yeah.
Matt.
Yeah, no, it's Aaron Kaminsky.
That's Kaminsky.
I don't know. See, I don't believe that solely because these were all whores and they had a lot of DNA all over them at all times.
Right.
Like one more time with the bathing, but I'll take that a step further. They also, most of them, with the exception of Mary, who got her guts cut out, they all slept in the same room. I mean, these common lodging rooms.
Right.
Again,
DNA everywhere.
It's DNA everywhere, man.
I guess it's
everywhere.
I guess we would just say it's the best guess we can come up with.
Well, I think they're fucked.
Yeah, of all the ones I've read about, I mean, that's the only one that was kind of like, there's something there at least, something using modern technology basically to help solve it.
What is it?
What is it? What is it about?
I don't know. Like they were taking DNA samples from their knickers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, come over here, swab this, eh? Looky.
Some crusty ass. But I don't even want to think about that funky shit.
Yeah, then again, too, like you said, that they only have like maybe 1 or 2 sets of clothes. There's really, I don't know when they would wash their clothes.
We're never going to know, and maybe it's best it'll keep it as what it is. He's kind of like, and still in pop culture today? Because it's almost like, because we don't put a name to who it is.
It's an unsolved mystery.
It's an unsolved mystery, but it makes it almost like a mythical creature.
Who was that?
Like,
Robert Stack?
Yeah, Unsolved Mystery.
That's
It was a
right.
good
They should've did
show.
that.
It used to freak me out. I used to stay up late, turn on my light for that one.
He killed his wife.
And one other thing I had here. So
Is that true?
Allegedly.
Yeah, I thought it's
He
like
didn't-
Jack the Ripper.
He didn't necessarily
Stack
kill her,
the Ripper.
but he
Stack
had
the Ripper.
he had a hand in it.
Oh, for real?
Allegedly.
One other last thing here. I don't know if you guys ever watched Mindhunter on Netflix. It's a great show, and I urge listeners, if you're into true crime, to watch it. So Mindhunter was about the guy that basically came up with profiling. And in the show, he goes and sits down with Edmund Kemper, Charlie Manson, to name a few. There's a ton of serial killers to kind of gather information so we can kind of put together a profile. Like, what do these guys, like, what forms them? What habits do they have? You know, this, that, and the other. And so in 1988, the BBC approached him and said, hey, will you put together a profile on Jack the Ripper based on the information we have? So he did. He put together a profile and, put it out. You can look it up online. It's on the FBI's website. And a couple quick things from it. Like we talked about, like Zap talked about during the actual the crime descriptions, he would murder them, kill them first quickly with a cut to the throat, and then do all the mutilation afterwards. So in his opinion, the guy was more about the mutilation than the murder. So he just was into like cutting them up and doing all that stuff. That's the motive for him. And then he thought of the age maybe between 28 and 35. He said he wasn't younger than that because he had to have enough like communication skills and stuff, good, like be able to communicate with the prostitutes to get them to trust him to take him into like a darker part of town and to do his thing. You know,
He was a player.
Yeah, he was a player. And then he said he wasn't married. In his opinion, if he was married, it was before this, and it would have been to an older woman because he had mommy issues. So there was a couple other things I forget, like in the report, but it was interesting to see what a modern day, what's 1988, it's not modern day now, but at the time, what they would have thought about it, how they would have approached the case.
That's 100 years later.
Yeah.
That's a hell of a lot more modern than the time of.
Right, but not modern. Well, I shouldn't say, I'm thinking about now.
Yeah, I got you.
I don't know how much it's progressed since then. I mean, this guy created that profiling system.
And the From Hell movie, I guess they said he offered grapes. I don't know if I remember talking about it the last one before it shit the house on
that
us,
makes sense because the show Wealth, because then we talk about that grapes are like a sign of wealth. Back
I guess
then,
they were hard to come by.
They were hard to come by.
And then like a glass of port or whatever with it, and that was with laudanum. I think they would lace it with.
Yep.
Yeah.
The movie went in its direction. Certainly did.
He offered him a bag of White Castle burger and fries over here. Come
That's
on
how
in.
you get the hot chicks.
Yeah, but that was a wild one. I guess it's still unsolved. So, but thanks for putting that together, Zab. That was a
Actually,
good
we
one.
know who did
I
it.
thought it was appropriate given the Halloweeny time of year. Why not?
Well, he is the most famous serial killer, I'd say. I mean, I would think more than anybody, but
Infamous.
infamous. Yeah,
I mean, I think there's some heavy hitters out there, but
Sure are.
there are, but this guy
has stood the test of time.
That's what I was.
why's it got to be a
thinking.
guy though? Could have been a woman.
Could've
I
been.
don't know, man. It might have. Well, it could
It
have
could have been
one
the
of those-
trust. Like maybe it was a large woman.
It could have been a disgruntled prostitute.
That's what I mean. It could have been like she wanted revenge on because they were getting all the Johns. I don't know.
Yep.
Yeah.
Still, like I said, it's we could something to think about. I think that's what makes it so much fun.
Part 2, maybe we can update when we figure out who it is. But
Ripper Part D.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
But thanks again, Zap, for everything. Matt, thank you. And I guess we'll be back next week with a vintage cinema, and then after that, back to true crime or compelling story. So don't forget to go on Spotify, Apple, leave us that 5-star rating on Apple, leave us a written review. I see some of you have done that, and I appreciate that. We need your help to help the show grow. Giving us a good rating and good feedback puts us in front of other ears, and that's what we're looking to do. We want to grow this thing. I guess that's it for now, so we'll catch you where?
On the flip side,
If we don't see you sooner, we'll see you later.
peace. Thanks for hanging out in the old dirty basement. If you dig our theme music like we do, check out the Tsunami Experiment. Find them on Facebook. Their music is available streaming on Spotify and Apple, and where great music is available.
You can find us at Old Dirty Basement on Facebook and Instagram, and at Old Dirty Basement Podcast on TikTok.
Peace.
We Audi 5000.